To me, art means tension.
Art is life.
It's magic.
Art is fun.
Expression.
Expression.
People's expression and the feeling.
Imagination.
Storytelling.
It's in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes I say, I don't know if I like it, but it's art. And sometimes I say, I don't know if it's art, but I like it.
Well, I guess I'm going to talk about the impact path has had on my creative life.
So, and every culture has art. I mean, we'd be culturally barren without it, right?
I think like there's some. I think we'd be less intelligent. We wouldn't evolve. We wouldn't change. We wouldn't understand new ideas.
But if you don't have art, why?
Well, it all started when Natalie Poirier approached me about with the question about studio space. Did I know of any places that we could rent collectively that would be suitable for giving workshops and giving access to the public to our workspaces for teaching and other reasons? So I thought of this empty school in Farrellton, and a week later she called me up and said, round up the artists, let's go see this place. I have an appointment with the school board to take a look.
You always help the next generation of people coming up, right? Or you help empower your community. And so I guess that's for me, going into meeting with a few other people and decided to take over that building and create PAF. Was that step of, looking around and seeing that the community needed some artistic development.
I just like the idea of seeing my neighbors create art. I mean, I was biking down the road the other day and I saw John Pagani driving in his truck, and he stopped and we had a conversation. I looked in the back of the truck, and so people carry wood in the back of their trucks, but he had art in the back of his truck. That's pretty cool.
C'est très important. On a une communauté artistique professionnelle assez exceptionnelle dans la MRC des Collines de l'Outaouais, beaucoup dans la municipalité de la Pêche et dans la partie Wakefield et du côté de Chelsea aussi, mais partout, je dirais, dans la MRC des Collines. Et les artistes professionnels amènent une vision différente des paysages, comment on devrait vivre dans une municipalité. Puis, c'est des gens d'affaires exceptionnels, les artistes. They're business people. Et ils font une job extraordinaire à vendre notre territoire, puis à mettre en valeur ce qu'on a sur le territoire.
Well, one of the big advantages of that space is that we're all under one roof, and so we share resources. I make use of the administrative room and things like that, and so that's nice. But one of the biggest things is going to work every day in a field that is usually very sort of isolated, a job that is usually done in isolation, and seeing my peers going to work every day just like me.
So PAF gives back to the community because it is a cultural center that is opening its doors for people to come in and to work with artists and as well support artists in their professional careers as well. So it's twofold. So I'm very interested in the future of PAF's relationship to the community and how that can develop.
And you get to make puppets.
And we get to make puppets with our neighbors and friends.
I mean, so the first open house that we went to, I found it to be a highly creative place, but a place where I could go and see people that I know who are creating beautiful things, and in some cases slightly disturbing things, and art. So, and in terms of community, I just felt like there's a good opportunity for me to not necessarily directly participate, but but have a chance to create sort of in my own way, you know, because I can get involved in some of these things if I choose to.
People find it difficult to find the time to simply be creative. And when they are given the opportunity, the time to simply be creative, it's like a light switches on in their mind. Something changes, something shifts in them. And it enriches them. I can see it in the studio, someone coming in, you know, working for the first time and they haven't worked in a long time, or they don't feel confident about themselves, or they don't know if they're creative, and all of a sudden they start getting in that creative zone and something else takes over, and it's a beautifully enriching experience.
So I think what's happened with PAF is that now you've got a place, like I said, where people can communicate, where we can bring in artists for artist talks, possibly bringing in different shows and residencies. So that has ramifications for different artists all through the community, and for the community themselves who want to do art. For artists, it gives them experience in initial shows, you know, and the tools and know-how to put on an exhibit, and to interact with other people who can share their experiences.
And hopefully that will also sort of create a name for PAF as this artistic hub, this hub of creativity happening in this little rural place in this beautiful Gatineau Hills, and encourage people to come out and enjoy the facility and the events, as well as the wonderful communities and businesses that surround us.
A lot of people think of this area as a place that is quote-unquote artistic. But until you actually go to see where people create art, you could go to a lot of galleries, but until you actually walk into somebody's studio, like your studio, you don't really get the smell and the feel and the taste and the odor and all of it.
PAF, I mean, what would be beautiful is if it became a place that people felt really comfortable to drop in for no particular reason other than to see what's going on.
Like, not to be too corny about it, but a place like PAF encourages enough new ideas that you don't just think about yourself.
A world without art would be bleak. It would be a world where people were not stimulated to get out of their own box and think differently, look differently, see differently, understand differently. It would be bleak.
Is that even possible? I mean, we've always been doing it. We have to. I suppose it would be extremely dull and depressing and kind of sad.
A world without art, I think, would be inhuman.
The world would be boring. Pretty bland.
Unacceptable.
To me, art is the most honest language and form of communication over the whole history of mankind.
What do we remember from those cultures that have passed? We remember them by their artifacts, right? And the art they produced. And the books, of course, the books is art as well. That's what's the legacy of that culture. It's not what their money was or how much money they had or, you know. All right.